Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name's Josh.
Welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be going through transfer targets for game week 13. We're well in the thick of FPL Prime season, so let's get into it and hope that some of these picks turns out to be good ones going into this game week.
Okay, then, so yeah, we're going to run through about 8 different players that we think are good options to bring into your FPL sides this week. Some varying in price points, so hopefully it helps everyone out in terms of their team. So yeah, Van Heck is up first. A lot of people asking, particularly in our Patreon, about some cheap defenders. Obviously, clean sheets quite hard to come by so far this season. Been sort of hit and miss with most teams. So yeah, hopping on some clean sheets would be nice. I think attacking threat in general in the defence, I mentioned it in the defenders rank video, there's not too many defenders that offer that attacking threat, so I think you need to be looking at that clean sheet at the moment. Van Heck should be able to provide that because Brighton go on a really nice run of fixtures now, obviously starting with Southampton at home this week. Attacking threat is very minimal. He has got an assist so far this season, but yeah, two big chance involvements is nothing to shout home about in the opening 10 games. What's your thoughts on him, Ben? Just a nice way to get into that Brighton defence?
Yeah, a good, decent option there. And, some managers are going to sort of take the sort of hit and maybe sort of spend not as much of their budget on the defenders. And Van Heck provides a good option and a good opportunity to do so. So, yeah, I think he's a decent option. That there's not too many options really across the board that are all that inspiring at the moment from a defensive standpoint. So, I think you've just got to get it right, get one or two clean sheets a week and move on from it. Like, you're not going to make too many gains from these defensive picks at this point in the season. It's weird. It's not sort of usually sort of like that when we have usually a couple of standout picks that really sort of are getting consistent returns, but we've not really had that too much this season. Let's hope with Brighton's good fixture run, we can see a little bit of consistency in terms of clean sheets at least. Okay, so talking of a lack of clean sheets, and Leif Davis is one that has a little bit of a lack of clean sheets, but his expected goal involvement is decent and his attacking threat is there. So if you are looking at a defender at that cheap price point, may not necessarily keep a clean sheet, although the fixtures are very decent, but will get attacking returns. He'll be very attacking going forwards, lots of security in minutes and gets involved in sort of big chances. Josh, you've owned him during this season, so you might be able to provide a bit more of an insight on it.
Yeah, you've covered it off really well. I wouldn't be expecting many clean sheets at all, but what he does offer you is really high attacking threat. He's created the most chances in the league amongst all defenders, including the likes of Trent, Cavadio, etc. So you're getting really good value for money in terms of the attacking output, and that's something that I said just before on Van Heck. You don't really get anywhere else in the league at the moment. So yeah, you are making that sort of trade-off, I guess you could say, between the defence for the attacking returns. What I will say though is that Ipswich are capable of keeping a clean sheet on their day. They proved that when with that one clean sheet against Brighton, they were absolutely getting destroyed in that game and they still managed to keep them out. So yeah, if there is the odd chance that they do keep a clean sheet and Leif Davis gets that attacking return, which I think an attacking return every maybe 3 games is probably quite reasonable, especially with that fixture run that they've got. You're looking at a massive haul, which again we haven't seen so far this season for many defenders getting double-digit hauls. Moving on to the final defender on our transfer targets list this week, it's going to be Jurrien Timber. Obviously, he got an assist midweek against Sporting Lisbon, coming in at 5.5 million. He offers a cheap route into that Arsenal defence if you're not keen on going for Raya. Obviously, the saves have dropped significantly since the start of the season, where we were seeing him pick up those bonus points and save points. So if you wanted a little bit of attacking threat, but obviously a little bit of safety as well with the Jurrien Timber, then he's a good option to go for this Arsenal defence. Again, if you've got Gabriel already, it could be a nice way to double up as well, because they go on a nice run of fixtures, as you can see there, a full fixture ticket of green. What's the thoughts on Timber, Ben?
Yeah, actually, I think sort of with Timber at the moment, in terms of Arsenal defensive assets, he's probably got the highest ceiling in terms of attacking potential threat and sort of like the assist potential, etc. Let's just see. And I'm tempted to bring him in. It's like a good sideways move if you've sort of got a couple of sort of premium defenders in there. You can sort of downgrade a little bit, free up a little bit of money to upgrade elsewhere. So I really don't think it's a bad option. I think, if he gets consistency of returns, then he'll quite quickly become 6 million and in the same price bracket as Gabriel. So if you are looking to bring him in, definitely bringing him in sooner rather than later before he sort of enters that price category where you go, actually, Gabriel's probably a sort of better option at that price point. Okay, so moving on into the midfielders, and it's a similar theme here. We are targeting those Brighton assets with that fantastic fixture at home to Southampton. I think if you're looking at doing sort of a transfer this week and you want to really capitalise on this game week, I think that fixture is the best one in the league for anyone this game week. It really looks like a good fixture, and Matoma looks to be in decent form. In fact, that whole front four for Brighton looks in decent form as well. He's been consistent in terms of his returns over the last couple of seasons in FPL. Maybe sort of not has been to the heights that we'd expect, but his big chance involvement has really been there. There's been so many sort of chances, and I expect him to sort of be a little bit more clinical going forwards. At 6.4 million as well, it's an easy move to make if you've got a couple of free transfers and you're looking to move on one of those sort of cheaper midfielders at the 5.5 million price range. Then Matoma is really affordable to get. Josh, what's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think he's just ticking along quite nicely. 5 returns in the opening sort of like 12 game weeks is nothing too bad to shout about, and obviously Brighton have had a pretty difficult run to start the season as well. Let's not forget they're going into a nice easier patch now, so I'd expect those returns to increase over the next few games. Southampton at home this week, like you say, it is the prime fixture to target pretty much most weeks at the moment. They've got the most expected goals conceded so far this season, so yeah, the worst defence in the league. They also now don't have Aaron Ramsdale for a while, and we saw how important that was against Liverpool with Alex McCarthy in goal. So yeah, a really nice fixture this week, and then equally in the upcoming game weeks there's some nice games there. Leicester away, obviously they've got a new manager, but I'd still back this Brighton team to go there and win. So yeah, if you already got João Pedro, I don't even mind getting Matoma as well. I think that having like a double up in that attack right now is quite a smooth play. So yeah, Matoma's a good option. Okay then, so another sort of mid-price midfielder we're going to take a look at in that sort of £6.5 million price range is Dejan Kulusevski. I must say, from a non-FPL perspective, he's been fantastic for Spurs this season, just being involved in a lot of their good wins at Old Trafford, at the Etihad. He's been running the show. FPL wise, it's not really as good as maybe his in real game performances, but the 5 returns so far, 3 assists. He's definitely got more assist threat than his goal threat. Between Kulusevski and Matoma, Ben, who would you be more likely to go for? Is Kulusevski in your thinking?
Kulusevski's not really in my thinking, and I think that's just because with the Spurs assets, there's always some form of threat of rotation somewhere along the line. Like we always know that there's good quality players. You got Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, Solanke, Son, and they're all sort of to a decent standard. And of course Maddison, who's not been sort of seeing too many minutes as of late as well. So there's always that minutes risk with there, whereas I don't think there's that too much with Matoma. But yeah, they both are ticking along relatively similarly. Like the stats, if you compare sort of the stats here and sort of go back 30 seconds to Matoma's, they look really, really similar, and it's shown that they're performing to the same level. I think that Brighton's fixtures are a little bit better, so I'd maybe be more tempted to go there. But if you are looking at a bit of a differential option, I don't think you could sort of go too wrong with Kulusevski. Okay, so as we spoke about, James Maddison at 7.5 million. As you can see, 771 minutes played, so not sort of too many minutes. He is sort of starting to get sort of more consistent in terms of the minutes, and sort of like brought him in and out of the team for the last few game weeks, but starting to see some consistent returns. A fantastic haul against Manchester City. I mean, the fixtures are decent. He looks to be in good form. He's a player that if he's hot, he's really hot, and if he's cold, he goes completely off the radar. Some good big chance involvement, some decent XG and XA statistics. Josh, what do you make of him? I think he's a decent option, right?
He is a decent option. I just think he's a little bit too expensive. Obviously, you mentioned the minutes risk. Obviously, he's been in and out of that Spurs team so far this season. He's also playing a little bit deeper than what we'd usually imagine Maddison to play in that sort of 10 role. It's almost like 2/8 with him and Kulusevski. So yeah, for me, I'm not sure if I would be jumping to buy him right now. I think obviously that brace against City was fantastic, but I feel like it was very game dependent in terms of his positioning. So yeah, for me, like you say, with that Spurs team, there's a plethora of assets that could potentially haul on any given day. You know, we saw Solanke against Villa, he hauled and he's done almost nothing since. I wouldn't surprise me if we saw the same with James Maddison at the moment. So yeah, for me, I've sort of pushed the brakes a little bit on the Spurs assets. I think, like we say, with the Brighton ones, there's much better options there with probably better fixtures as well. So yeah, just sort of a go with caution if you are going to go with someone like a James Maddison. Okay, then so we're going to move into the forwards now, and we have three forwards who are all cheaply priced, but also all performing relatively well. We've got Evan Nilsson up first, and not too bad of a fixture run. I think that Tottenham at home game is a decent fixture right now. Obviously, they've got no Van der Ven. Romero's not been spotted in training this week. He might be back maybe for next week. And then also they've got no Vicario for a significant amount of time, which I think will affect them quite massively with Fraser Forster in goal. So yeah, a nice run of games there for me. So far this season, he's performed relatively well. 5 attack and return so far in just under 800 minutes, which isn't too bad. You are going to get a lot more goal threat than assist threat, which is what you want with your forwards. That means he's going to climb into the bonus more often than not. Only 2% owned at £6 million. I think that sort of price bracket, other than João Pedro, of like 6.5 million and below, I don't think there's too many options to choose from right now who are either in form and have a good fixture run. I think Evan Nilsson is one of those that you can maybe hop on now and then get ahead of the curve with him. What's your thoughts on Evan Nilsson, Ben?
Yeah, I think with this transfer, if you're bringing him in, it's at a risk of another very fairly priced striker in João Pedro that you'd be going against the grain with, and you'd be going against the sort of the sort of rest of the FPL community that seems to be bringing him in at the moment. But you know what? I don't think he's a bad option at all. He's gone maybe a little bit under the radar in terms of sort of his performances. He's involved in a lot of chances. He's producing some decent XG numbers and performance at a level that we expect him, and the goal output is similar to what sort of we see with the XG statistics. So yeah, he's performing to a decent level, and I think he'll be one that ticks along quite nicely. Wouldn't expect maybe the mega hauls that you might get with a João Pedro, but he will hopefully get those consistent returns. Okay, so moving on to the player we just spoke about, João Pedro, and I mean, he's going to be a template pick going into this game week, and he's going to be highly owned by a lot of managers, sort of both in the FPL community, sort of, and generally based on his performances over the last couple of weeks. 5.6 million is an absolute bargain. 4 goals and 2 assists in just 368 minutes, which is absolutely ridiculous. And he's producing numbers, producing the stats, and a team that's playing really well. Surely it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's just the fixture this week alone just makes you want to get him. 5.6 million is significantly underpriced for João Pedro. A lot of people might be worried about his minutes. Obviously, he came off the bench against City, only played 62 minutes, I believe, against who they played at the weekend. So for me, he's never a 90-minute player. I never really look at him like that, but that's why you look at the price at 5.6 million. I do think, though, that you will get 75 minutes plus this game week, and that is more than enough for him to do damage, as what he's shown in that 368 minutes so far. You've got penalties, you've got potentially set pieces as well. There's just not much not to like about him, and if you are making a forward transfer this week, I'd actually rank him as the priority forward to go for out of absolutely anyone at any prices, just because the fixtures are so good. And yeah, he's been obviously on fire so far this season. Okay, then, and on to the final player of this video. It's going to be Mateus Cunha. Obviously, off the back of 2 double-digit hauls, it just seems like he seems to keep ticking over week after week, and really explosive hauls at that. 7 goals, 3 assists so far this season. It's absolutely fantastic. He's having a fantastic year. I expect him to probably get a big move at the end of it. Massively overperforming the expected data, which we've been saying now for a couple of weeks. He's scoring chances that tend to be quite low XG, but he is a high quality player, and you'd expect players that are high quality to outperform their XG on a consistent basis. We see it with Heung-min Son, for example, year after year, just outperforming his XG. So yeah, a really nice option. Ben, is it too late to get him now if you don't already own him, or do you think that there's still a good fixture run to attack?
I definitely think there's still a good fixture run to attack, and he's been overperforming in fixtures that are a little bit more difficult, which is ridiculous. So add in the good fixtures, it might level out slightly, but he might get a lot more XG from the games that he's got coming up than he has done over the last 3 or 4 game weeks. So you could see his numbers continue in terms of the goal scoring form and the XG numbers per game to actually improve over the next few weeks, which is a scary thought. So, like it's one of those where I think like Cunha is a fantastic option. He is getting sort of a little bit pricier now, creeping up to sort of 7 million. So he's getting into that budget where you've really sort of got to make a decision between sort of him or Isaac or something like that alongside João Pedro. So yeah, it's a really interesting one, and I think he's going to be fantastic over the next few weeks.
Nice. If you had to pick one, Cunha or João Pedro, who are you going for?
I'm gonna say based on sort of all the metrics of performances and fixtures coming up and price point, I'd have to say João Pedro.
Ooh, controversial. Okay then, so that wraps up our transfer targets video for game week 13. Let us know if you're bringing in any of those guys in the comments below and any sort of transfer dilemmas that you have, and we'll be responding to every single one of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the FPL Graduates. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.